thrill me.
Thanks for joining us for another episode, and Merry Christmas to everyone. Our Christmas episode tonight, we're going to do Better Watch Out from 2016. I believe it was filmed partially in Australia. Is that not correct?
Pretty sure.
Majority of it might have been filmed in Australia, I think. It's just me and Jared tonight. The others have obviously got lives over Christmas.
Enjoying the festive season.
Yes,
not
enjoy
with us.
Before we get into that, quick run through of what you've been watching.
Couple of treats under the tree. Couple of
loves of gold.
I started The Innocent Man on Netflix.
So did I.
Funnily enough, that's the only John Grisham book I've ever read.
Really?
I just stumbled across it one day and thought, this looks interesting. So
how far into it are you?
I finished the book years ago.
Oh.
So I looked at the Netflix show and thought, is that the same thing? And went and sort of dug out the book. Yeah, that's the one. So I got 3 episodes in. It's not bad.
It's basically the book.
Maybe a little bit of fatigue. For the true crime stuff. And the other part is it's hard to get behind anyone because the bloke that ended up getting acquitted seemed like a bit of a scumbag anyway. Like he had done some other shit that was pretty... Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a... It's a good story, but there's so much of that stuff now that as soon as you see one of those, you're comparing it to the... making a murderer's staircase.
Yeah.
It's not quite there. But it's not bad.
I'm 4 episodes deep.
Yeah?
Yeah, look, I'm enjoying it. I think it's actually reasonably well made.
Yeah, it's not,
and
not
quite
bad at all. I'm enjoying it for sure.
Actually, more gripping than some of the others.
Mm.
But it just once again showcases, fuck, mate, what was doing in the 80s?
Well, it seems like you go to police college and they just think, you got a hunch, don't worry about the evidence, just fucking get someone in the interrogation room and grind that prick for 20 hours.
No, but the thing that I understand is, I understand that the police, there's pressure on the police to make arrests.
Make numbers.
Right,
yeah.
numbers, and I get that, there's pressure. But I don't quite understand the prosecutor, who seemed to be an absolute fucking idiot, it would seem.
It's the same.
Are they under the numbers scale too?
Well, it's the same. I'm just finishing up, season 2 of the In the Dark podcast. And by any measure, the evidence doesn't seem to hold up. But the prosecutor, when they talk to him, the bloke that's been trying to retry this thing for 20 years, just stands there and says, well, if you look at the evidence, everything holds up. He doesn't sound like an idiot. He just sounds like...
I reckon it's because nobody wants to admit...
They fucked up?
We fucked it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of saying, we actually did fuck it up.
Yeah.
And, we've put this poor bastard in jail for 20 years. They continue to say we can retry it.
Yeah, this is our man.
Evidence.
This is our man. But yeah, now that we've got all these techniques and stuff and we've looked into it, it doesn't matter if he's the man or not. You haven't proven he's the man. Yeah, exactly. You got less. No, the evidence says the evidence says fuck all. But you just won't roll over on it. It always seems to happen that, when someone gets exonerated, the new DA's come in and looked at it and gone, what the fuck is this? And goes in straight for a plea deal. Straight for a deal. You want to go the Orford plea? Great.
Yeah.
We'll get it off our hands. It's a bit of a shambles, really.
Yeah, nobody wants to admit we did a bad job.
And it seems like a lot of these cases are from a time when people they fucking ran roughshod over the town and did whatever they want and never saw a time where another entity was going to look into it or technology progresses and they might find other ways. It's like nobody ever thought this would happen.
Well, the worst part is that the number of exonerations coming out probably across the world.
It's fucking unbelievable.
From DNA.
Yeah.
Is just unbelievable.
Mm.
I mean, I was listening to a podcast the other day. The DNA evidence, there's 2 different types of fuck, mate. Look, once again, I got a D in science, so this is going to sound super smart.
So you think it's called DNA? It could be DMA for all you know.
Yeah, well, I knew it as DMA back in college. This one there's 2 different types of tests. I think it's called SLR and YSLR. 2 different types. One of them...
Sounds like cameras.
Is... Well, I might have the acronym wrong. I probably do. But there's two different types of tests, right? And one in particular is the more stringent test. If you are found to be excluded from that test, then game over. That's it. You're not. It's not you.
Yeah.
But this one, they excluded him from the heavy test, but then said he was included in the less stringent test, and that shit hit the fucking.
Good enough for us.
That shit hit court, and the prosecutors say that's smoking gun.
Yeah.
Smoking gun. And then they also rolled out some cell phone tower evidence.
Yeah.
And then the defence counsel's going, but hang on a second, to the bloke who's given us a 45-minute PowerPoint presentation on how it works. He then goes, the defence team says, you're showing us where her cell phone was, correct? And the bloke goes, yes. And then he goes, but what about his? The suspect? That's not on there. Fuck you blokes.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I love it when the DAs or whatever refuse to answer the questions or whatever, and they go, oh, we're going to go hard on these crooks. I'm sitting there going, okay, so you failed to turn over evidence, Brady violations, and you seemingly threw away a gun that might have played in the defence's favour, but he's the crook. My morals are inscrutable. I am, it's just, it's fucking baffling.
It is baffling, and quite frankly...
As I said, though,
the more the DMA technology gets better, the more likely...
The more DNA technology, you might say start doing HDMI tests and PS4s and things like that. Things are... you're in strife when they get to that level.
Yeah, once it gets the Xbox One testing, we find.
Yeah, as I said, I just hope I don't happen to walk into a fucking shop just after it's been robbed or something and get questioned for 20 hours. I'm sure. So I sit there going, I'd never say I was guilty, but they'll look at some of the techniques and I'll sit there going, I fold in half an hour. Let me go home. Oh, you'll go home if you sign this. Quick, give it here. You got a pen?
They'll be like... I'll say, Jesus, how long am I going to be here? Can I get a meal? No, mate, there's no food. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I'm in for the long haul. 20 minutes later, I did it. Hungry. I did it. Can I have a cheeseburger or something?
Yeah, look, it's pretty scary stuff.
It is. Getting back onto it, I watched the Christmas Chronicles.
Yeah, I saw that. With Kurt Russell. Yeah, it was alright.
My kids picked it.
Yeah, it was alright.
Look, it's beneath Russell.
I think it's beneath Russell.
It's beneath Russell.
He was in Tango and Cash. It's the guy.
Yeah, but that's when that seemed like a good idea. I don't know if this ever did, but he's awesome as Santa. Yeah, he's very funny. And my kids got a couple of real good laughs out of the little creatures in it. And
oh, look, it was classic by the numbers.
It was cheap as chips. It was Hallmark cheap, and Hallmark got it.
I don't know if it was that cheap.
It was cheap. It was some of the effects and stuff were cheap. Yeah, but look, it was a bit of fun. But
Netflix, they throw money around like it's going out of fashion. That probably cost $100 million.
They throw it bright, but the Christmas Chronicles gets you get the offcut.
Yeah, when you hear a story about orcs and humans living together.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like which one do you throw 90 million at? I hear Kurt Russell and I throw 90 million straight away. Kurt Russell, what? Santa Claus? Oh shit! I already greenlit that for 90.
I throw 90 million already in pre-production.
Martial Law 3, 90 million. There you go. Is Cynthia back on deck?
Oh, of course. Continue, mate.
I watched Cam. Got around to watching Cam.
Yeah. Were you really like me, but disappointed?
I really liked it for a stretch. And it just didn't resolve.
I mean, you know the subgenre pretty well.
Not at all. I was wondering how the tipping system worked. I was confused.
Bitcoins and all that shit that they're doing.
Yeah, now after I saw it in the film, I'm like, oh, that's how you do it, right?
That's where my money's been going.
Yeah, look, it left that character that was hanging around. So it sort of left him out of things. He kind of sort of started to explain it and then didn't. It was unsatisfactory for me in the end.
It left me cold. There wasn't a lot
I thought it would have left you hot. Red hot.
Hey, don't get me fucking mixed up with you, mate. Don't, let's not start
Where's
this stuff. Where's you made a dump this shit on? But it left me cold, and you're right, it kind of went supernatural, yet there seemed to be that dude hanging around in the background.
Who seemed to know something.
Yes, and I thought, because Maddie even brought it up when we saw the trailer, that kind of thing would be the kicker.
Yeah.
That a friend was involved or whatever. And it kind of wasn't there. It didn't play out quite the way I thought it was going to.
No. Yeah, it didn't quite resolve satisfactorily for me. Prior to that, though, I really enjoyed parts of it. Like, it was starting to build some real tension and what was going on.
Well, it was super weird. Like,
yeah.
It sort of had you in that first 40 minutes or so wondering what was going on.
So I would probably say, if you like that kind of thrillery stuff, it's probably worth a look. But yeah, it didn't quite.
It's probably the reason why it was on Netflix. From a Blumhouse perspective.
Yeah,
it wasn't a mainstream sort of film.
Yep. I watched Home Alone 2. The kids, after seeing Home Alone 1, wanted to go to Home Alone 2.
Same thing, isn't it?
Unfortunately, I've got 3, 4 and 5 there to watch.
Holy shit.
This is where fiscal responsibility got me into trouble, because I walked into JB. I walked into JB and here's the 2-pack for $11. Here's the 5-pack for $12. I said, I cannot in good conscience not purchase the 5-pack.
But now your kids want to put you through the whole lot.
Yeah, now they want to watch 3, 4 and 5.
Look, Home Alone 2 was shit anyway, wasn't it?
It wasn't bad.
Basically just a retread.
It was the same thing in a different place. They upped the ante, though. Fuck, there's a few of the traps that are just... They're a bit more full on.
Like something out of Saw.
Yeah, even my son said, oh, that one's a bit mean and that one's a bit full on. Like, yeah, they are a bit more full on. But yeah, it was a bit of a laugh. I got onto Braven with Jason Momoa. It wasn't bad.
What was his name again?
Joe Braven.
Joe Braven. I see what they did there. Clever fellas.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like, the setup's pretty simple. The setup is that, Braven's old man, who played by Stephen Lang, has got sort of dementia. And so he's trying to take him to the cabin to sit down one-on-one and say, we need to start thinking about you possibly being in some care. But prior to that, these drug runners had fucking rolled a truck that they were doing their run in, and one of them was a local and said, we'll stash it up at Joe's cabin. I know he won't be there. And so this kind of, this on a whim,
type of
game. On a whim they go. He takes his dad up there to have this conversation, and they stumble across the drugs. But Garrett Dillahunt is the bad guy. I'm a big fan of him. It was a bit of fun. Once it all sort of pans out, it's just like you said, a bit of cat and mouse, bit of fisticuffs. I was pretty happy with it.
Momoa,
he's just a likeable bloke. Yeah. He was on the project the other night.
He's a big unit too.
Does a reasonable Australian accent too, which is always a winner.
Yeah.
I watched Bumblebee. It's pretty good. Like, honestly, it's good because there's less Transformers and more of, Haley Steinfeld and the other kid that's in it. A little bit of John Cena. Cena's a bit ridiculous. It was far better than any of the Transformers movies that have come since the first one.
Shit.
Might have even been better than the first one, or at least on par. It was, a bit of fun.
Okay.
And I saw Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Really good. Obviously, a lot of nods to comics.
Nicolas Cage, I believe, was providing a voice.
Cage is in there. It's really good. I was very impressed with it. It's another example of something that's accessible for the kids, but the writing's good enough to sustain the interest for adults as well. I thought there were some really nice moments, especially as a father now too. There's some really nice.
Could we take Spider-Man off to the animated realm?
Well, mate, I've been watching the DC animated ones for years and thinking, why don't they do
why can't they make these big budget?
Yeah, well, one of Batman's best movies is still. Well, there's a handful of really good ones from the animated stuff, but Mask of the Phantasm is one of the best Batman movies.
Part of the problem that keeps cropping up, certainly from DC's perspective, is they've got some really good shit there, that they've probably done in animated form.
DC's had some excellent animated movies.
But yet they seem to throw all their chips into the live action stuff that's not really working, but they could...
Yeah, but they go into the live action stuff and they don't talk to the people that work on the animated stuff. And...
Whereas why not take, like Spider-Verse showed you could take that, a $90 million budget, and turn it into a success theatrically. Yep. Why can't DC take them?
Yeah. It was really...
Out of that book.
It was very well written. It was good fun. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. That was me.
Okay. I grew a brain and avoided Amazon Prime.
No, you didn't.
Well, I
spoke to you earlier today. You didn't. I'm tested with the XLSR. no brain found.
I grew a half a brain then, and I avoided Amazon Prime wisely for the past week. I spent all my time on Netflix.
Yeah.
I watched that Ronnie Coleman documentary that...
Yeah.
Gibbo was spot on. It's really sad because the bloke, he's a wreck, mate.
Yeah.
He's an absolute wreck.
Does he still yell? Can he still yell?
No, look, they didn't show a lot of him in the gym, but he's still going to the gym.
Yeah.
With serious back problems that he can barely walk. And look, everyone they spoke to was saying he was the greatest bodybuilder there was. But several of them, especially Jay Cutler, the bloke who was up against him for a lot of that period.
Yeah.
He basically said, he didn't sugarcoat it. He said, look, the guy was the greatest bodybuilder there was. He was incredible. He was just something else. But his training regime was fucking ridiculous. It was silly. And he ended up hurting himself. He's paying the price, basically. And which it's sad to see because he's actually a really smart guy.
Yeah.
And a really likeable sort of cat.
There's some sort of mental thing there?
I think it just cannot give it away. There's
got to be something to that. If you say he's a smart bloke, you don't just...
Yeah, I think it's just... They get stuck into these things. It's like a lot of sportsmen who can't kind of leave it alone. Even when their body's saying, you cannot do this anymore.
Yeah.
They still want to do it. I mean... Even someone like Michael Jordan, those last 2 years at Washington, he was very good for a 40-year-old, but his knees were shagged. They were knackered.
Yeah.
But he couldn't just say to himself, mate, this isn't going
just rest on your title.
Yeah.
Greatest.
He's still the greatest basketballer in history. And I'm Jordan's a minor case. I mean, he really only stayed on.
Well, he turned in 2 seasons that, by anyone else's measure, would be fucking career years.
Yeah, that's right. But there are guys out there who are still trying to play professional sport at the highest level when their body just is shot. And in this case, I think it's just that he couldn't let it go.
Is he still doing it to attempt to compete, or is he just cannot fucking let it go?
He just. I think it's a mentality that you get into this type of training regime, which is so it's so over the top. You're training 6 days a week, quite heavily.
Where do you find time to watch Amazon Prime in there?
Well, I've managed to find a little bit. Caitlin recently told us I'm cutting off the membership. I was right. I wrote back saying, barely looked at it.
Oh, you did not.
I said he's part of martial law.
I haven't watched She Got Game yet.
Now, I watched Only the Brave.
Yeah.
The firefighter one. Really good cast. By the numbers sort of stuff. But it hits hard at the end. Like, just because it's true story, based on true story, and what ended up happening to these blokes is just fucking awful. They were basically burned alive in a wildfire. It was just really, really kicked you in the guts right at the end. I watched Bird Box. Yep. The one with Sandra Bullock.
How was that?
It was okay. Interesting idea. The whole idea that you can't open your eyes because you'll see this thing and you'll basically go crazy and kill yourself.
Sounds like The Village.
Well, it actually... I mean, I haven't seen A Quiet Place, but it sounds kind of like that in a sense of... The Quiet Place was you couldn't speak. This one is you can't see. Look, it has moments. It's a really good cast, but The ending was kind of a little bit kind of... You know, you didn't really see it coming, but it was kind of a little bit kind of... I expected something a little bleaker, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it was enjoyable enough, I guess. And The Innocent Man, that was it.
Excellent.
Done deal.
Good run.
All right, let's take a break. Here's the trailer for Better Watch Out.
Want to put her in the mood? Watch a horror movie. Dude, she's like twice our age. I really don't think it's gonna happen. She's here.
You are breathtaking.
Thank you. Now don't stay up and watch scary movies, okay? It'll give you nightmares again.
So what do you want to do? Ricky, why can't you just leave me alone? He's such a jerk.
Don't hang up on me.
What was that?
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Get away from the window.
There's someone there.
Ashley! Are you hiding? I'll find you.
Don't worry, I'll protect you. Isn't this exciting?
Tis the season to be jolly.
What are you doing, man? Please let me out of this.
You're fucking home alone again? Lighten the fuck up.
Deck the halls with
Why can't exes just go away? Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
Better Watch Out from 2016, directed by Chris Peckover, who did his only other credit, I believe, is called Undocumented, which I think might be a found footage type of movie. It's also written by Chris Peckover and Zach Kahn, and he had written for Mad TV. It's produced by Sidonie Abeen, Byron Hamble, Paul Jensen and Brett Thornquist. It stars Olivia DeJonge as Ashley, Levi Miller as Luke, Ed Oxenbould as Garrett, Patrick Warburton as Robert Lerner, and Virginia Madison as Deandra Lerner. The budget, I couldn't actually find out what it was. I can only assume it's fairly small. Box office, it was only released very, very, very small in the theatres. It made about 106,000. It was actually originally titled Safe Neighbourhood. And as I said before, I believe a fair portion of it was filmed in Australia. I'm going to go first here. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It didn't blow my mind. I'd read some reviews that said it was absolutely awesome. I liked what I got, and part of the reason why I liked it is it actually surprised me a few times.
Yeah.
Which, in the horror genre, it's a dime a dozen these days. If you get a surprise away from the cliches, you're beside yourself.
Yeah.
And I got a couple here. A couple that I didn't see coming at all. It struggles in the midsection because it gets repetitive. The whole threaten, try to escape, that type of thing happens repeatedly.
Yep.
And I think it feels a little bit like padding somewhat because the movie only squeaks in at just over 80 minutes, I believe. And for me personally, the kid playing Luke, I never really warmed to him. I found him difficult to... I thought his performance was a bit blah. But overall, a solid film that I gave 3 out of 5.
Right. Yeah, I went 3.5. I actually think I said the exact same thing to you yesterday, that it actually surprised me a couple of times, which was nice. I will watch it again down the track sometime. This time around, I had this that the kind of framing that I'd gotten for the film was I'd read somewhere that basically compared it to Cabin in the Woods. It said this is like a Cabin in the Woods type twist almost. So I was like, shit, okay, if they're comparing it to that, we must be in for something really good. Maybe that led to possibly a little bit of disappointment that it wasn't quite that, but it was really good. I actually think quite the opposite on the kid. I thought he was good. There was parts where I thought early on he was a bit shaky, but down the track, you know, we'll be going into some spoilers, obviously, for a movie that's still quite recent to some markets. I actually thought he was quite good down the stretch. You're right, it was a bit hard to maintain in parts, and part of it was because of one of the twists that comes in. Yeah. They sort of set things up for roughly sort of half an hour. Yeah. And then there's a twist on it that really kind of changes the vibe of the movie.
And then you've kind of got to rush, you've kind of got to squeeze that next bit.
Yeah, you start from scratch a little bit with some things.
And also, one thing that I also found was you had to start swallowing a little bit more shit as it went along, that people would make decisions that they ended up making.
Yep.
I mean, you accept a bit of that, but some of the goodwill had been kind of rubbed out by then for me.
Yep.
But yeah, you're spot on. Like they kind of condense a little because of the twist.
Yeah, and like you said, there was times when it felt like it was getting a little bit repetitive, but it never really overstayed its welcome because of the short runtime.
Yeah.
Like there was a few parts where you're like, oh, come on. Then something would happen and you'd be back on deck. There was a lot of, let's get moving. And then, oh, shit, that was all right.
Well, they throw something in.
Yeah.
And that's where the surprise will get you. And you'll be like, oh, shit, where'd that come from? So it never quite bogged down long enough to make that a huge dislike.
That being said, I really liked things that happened and I really liked the ending, but never really hit it into this is fucking home run territory for me.
No. It was a good three-baser.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Look, to start off, the film looks great for a low-budget picture that seems to have been shot partially in America, partially in Australia. It looks really good. On a fairly low budget. I would assume maybe less than $1 million. Somewhere in that realm.
Well, the whole thing would have been in that house or, sets of a house, which can't be too heavy on the budget.
Yeah, you didn't have to go too far, which was good. They do play with the conventions a fair bit of the home invasion style thriller.
Yeah.
They take some detours.
Yep.
And I think that freshened the material up.
Yep.
Because initially when it started, that first 20 odd minutes, when things first take that turn, before the twist, I was kind of like, so is this what it is?
Yeah.
Is this where we are? And I was kind of thinking, we've seen this though. And then boom, we get a twist.
Yep.
And that takes it in different territory. And I think that made me sit up and realise, okay, there's a lot more effort involved here.
Yeah, and they do actually have parts of that twist that unravel for the rest of the movie. Probably, actually, maybe not quite the entire rest of the movie, but for the next half hour or so, there's definitely more things that unravel about that. So going into the spoilers, I guess, when the twist comes that he's set it up, you're still thinking, oh, this is just a fucking absolute balls up on your part. And then you gradually get the sense that this is, he's twisted very badly. Which was really cool because you never would have imagined that from the get-go.
And in a way, it's also a horror movie predominantly from the perspective of the murderer, which is rare. You don't get a lot of that.
And even as you were saying, there were surprises along the way, but even when there wasn't, you still weren't, because of the way they played it, you still weren't confident of anything.
Yeah.
I looked at the start of it, and once they start sort of getting into the closet and into that room, I'm saying to myself, is this a gag? This is a gag.
Yeah.
The two kids, it's them, That almost immediately comes out, but then the way everything else starts unraveling, any of the other predictions I was making, I was sitting there going, oh yeah, this is what's happening. No, maybe it's not.
not sure.
And you were never really picking things.
Is this person going to get out of their shackles and become the hero or not? Like there was plenty of that going on.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good. It at least had you thinking about.
Yeah, it had you guessing, had you thinking. It had a couple of things, you would see something and you'd kind of think, yeah, I've picked that. And then they twist that little moments on their head and you're like, oh, shit.
And they slowly sort of drop some hints early on that something's not right.
Yeah.
The car following her early on. The pizza that gets delivered but no one ordered it. The phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
And it sets the scene that it's home invasion stuff.
Yeah.
So when that kicks in, you're immediately conditioned to believe that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
These two are going to fight for their lives. But then it goes off in another direction.
Mm.
And again, they take enough time. It doesn't rush through that stuff to get to the twist. It does enough to play it out that we will take it to believe that it's just a home invasion thriller.
Yeah.
And then we turn left.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. The characters, certainly in the first 40 minutes, do what you'd expect them to do.
Yeah.
Go looking for Dad's gun, try to get the Wi-Fi up, phones, hiding, staying out of sight, trying to escape using, when they're taped to the chairs, they get some glass and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The characters do what you would expect. Slightly exaggerated, but enough.
A lot of times, yeah, they do.
To make it believable.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a dislike on that for the second half.
Right. You skipped over Patrick Warburton.
Oh.
He's only in it for a couple of minutes, but he's always...
When he comes in with the tie and she starts going, so you didn't suck any dicks back in college, she starts ripping into him.
She's ripping into him, and his facial expressions and response are just pure gold. The guy is just absolute gold.
He rips out an absolute corker as well right near the end.
Yeah.
When they're in the car.
Yeah.
And she goes, it cuts to them and she's going, no one else found that stuff funny. And you assume that he's obviously said something.
Yeah.
And I think his response is, oh, they're just being a pack of cunts.
Those two are really good together. I mean, it would cost a bit. There's probably a reason why they're in it and then leave and then come back at the end. Is because they were probably the most expensive of the actors.
And they were only used for a day or something.
Yeah, but the value is there for sure.
And she's just like, what?
Yeah, he was great. It was great. Getting rid of the phone, like... Of all the ways I've seen people in movies, try to get rid of a phone or try to take mobile phones out of the equation, a kid being pissed and flinging it over a large fish tank that it drops in and then finding out that kid meant to do that.
Yeah, meant to do it. That's kind of cool.
That was good. That was really good. Even when I saw it before we knew what was going on with him.
When he first threw it and it went in there, I was like, oh, fuck off.
But when he did it, though, I was like, oh, jeez. And then I was kind of like... He was being the fucking goofy drunk.
Yeah.
You could play with that, but then, finding out
again, they'd set
was.
enough up to believe that sort of stupidity might have actually happened.
Yeah.
You do something really dumb.
Yeah.
Because he'd had a couple of drinks and he was 13.
Yeah. And that, like you said, the twist on the conventions, when you find it out what his plan is, and you realise he did that shit on purpose.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah. The paint can to the head.
Yeah, the Home Alone.
That was fucking nasty.
I was actually really loved seeing a nod to something that we all know from Christmas, and then saying, what happened to Joe Pesci and fucking Daniel Stern in those movies? We killed them many times over. Bricks to the face from a fucking top of a building.
Yeah, and he takes... And the good thing is they don't show it in depth. They just show his feet and all the paint. Then blood comes with it.
And then the kid's reaction.
Yeah, he's like, oh, fuck. And he's got it all over him. It's all... The other one that surprised me, honestly, which I should have seen coming, but I didn't, when he shoots Garrett.
Yeah.
I didn't think that would happen at all. Because, again, you're being conditioned to see that she's the protagonist.
Yep.
She's the hero. She's got to get loose somehow.
Yeah.
And then Garrett comes into play to do that, and then boom, he gets shot.
Yeah, it kept you on your toes.
And it was like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, it was nicely played again because I figured it would probably go there, but as you said, the running time and whatever, I was thinking, well, shit, he probably would have been gone by now, so maybe he is going to be the way he gets out.
He's going to find his inner strength because he's been pushed around by this bloke.
Yeah, I thought maybe he is going to get, and then bang, yep. The other one that really surprised me, bloody Dacre Montgomery, when he comes in, again, good value there. I'm a big fan of him as an actor. I thought he was piss funny as the bloody douchebag, second ex-boyfriend that comes along.
He's in the car going, yeah, how you going?
I thought it was still going to be some jealousy from the kid and that he was just bringing this guy over to rub him out of the scenario.
Yeah.
Then when he gets him to write the note, I'm sitting there going, what's going on here? Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine he's getting him to write his own suicide note as part of his plan. I was like, shit, I didn't see that at all. You know, they kept talking about how we're going to get out of this, and he kept talking, I got a plan. But in the end, I thought he was just saying that to his mate.
Crazy.
Yeah, he was crazy. His plan is like the Joker, which basically what the kid was kind of acting like. I thought, yeah, he's got no plan, and they're fucked. He's just going to try and lay it on... I actually thought he's going to try and lay it on Garrett and get himself out of it.
Yeah.
But then writing the suicide note, I was like, shit, didn't see it. Really thought that was an excellent moment in the movie.
Yeah, it was interesting. Look, I had a dislike to it, and it comes back to what I said before about having to swallow a fair bit of shit. But I did like the idea of he was playing this whole long game.
Yeah.
Like it was just starting to flower by that stage.
Yeah,
we realised, oh shit, this guy is actually going to get out of this.
Remember when he first texts the Dacre Montgomery's character, and he gets the response saying, "Is this that little taint that lives over him?" What's his name?
And when he rings him up, he goes, "I'm with Ashley." There's no Ashley here. Fucking moron. How did you ever date this guy?
Yeah, man, he's good.
Yeah, he was good.
Seeing him in Stranger Things,
parts.
Yeah,
that were filled pretty well.
Seeing him in Stranger Things, I thought he was pretty good in that. He was really good in the Power Rangers movie as well. So, I think he's
got a little bit of a future ahead of him.
Yeah, definitely another Australian sort of up and comer.
My last like was I felt the ending was a huge like.
Yeah, big time.
Because you felt he wasn't... In fact, you're kind of raging near the end because you're thinking, this bastard's going to get away with it.
Yeah, yeah.
But he doesn't get away with it because of her.
Yeah.
And they do a nice thing by... Because I thought there is no way he's going to kill her.
No.
He's going to threaten and threaten and threaten, but he never seems willing. And then he does.
It was another couple in the little package of surprises.
Yeah, he just kind of... does it when you don't at least expect it.
Yep.
And then it turns out she survived.
Yep.
And gives him the fucking
the
bloody finger on the way out. But you know what? I actually expected that he was actually going to get done over by the pencil.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't put it on. He had to put it on the outside, then go round, and he wouldn't be able to get into his room, and he was going to fall off the roof. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yep.
Which I thought would have also been cool. You know, the fact that he kind of got outsmarted by his parents.
Yeah. I actually thought the scene, going back a bit, one scene that I really liked was when he attacks Ricky, and it shows that he's completely physically outmatched.
Yeah,
Everything he does turns to shit.
Yeah.
But then he gets the upper hand with the help of his buddy.
Yeah.
And that's where he turns it a little bit into the Joker, a little bit of sort of funny games kind of, you know, the glee's taking in what's going on. I actually really liked that scene as a whole. There was also, I actually thought they found a really good balance between some comical moments and then some really kind of, there was a couple of bits where you're like, oh shit, this is kind of uncomfortable what they're doing to these people. Other parts you're just kind of laughing out loud at things that are going on. So I think they found a really good balance in that.
Yes, I agree. And I do agree that stuff with Ricky was was good because he sort of had convinced me that he was the surrogate hero.
Yeah.
By that stage, once he was tied up, I felt he was going to now become the key player.
Yeah.
But it didn't play out that way. So
No.
again, it took some nice detours, which I liked. Any other likes?
No, that was pretty
Key
much
likes
the big ones for me.
Look, I think part of the reason why I didn't like the kid is possibly what you just said. There was not an uneven tone, but the tone was part joking, part sort of horrifying, I guess.
Yeah.
The way it was played. But I didn't really know how to take him. I found him really whiny early on, and then he never convinced me that he was intimidating or anything at all.
Yeah, see, that's...
Because he was 13, I guess they were trying to go with the fact he's a kid.
Well,
he's
I
not
actually...
supposed to intimidate.
I thought that was kind of intentional, a little bit. Like, the part where Ricky kind of overpowers him and shows he's not intimidating in any way in that regard. And that's why it kind of looked a little bit like the Joker to me. Like, he's not sort of physically intimidating anyone, but he's just unhinged. Yeah. And you could... So I thought he actually did a really good job of playing the unhinged parts. There was parts where I'm watching him going, fuck, he's a lunatic.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I didn't get that.
I had no issues with his performance.
Like, I just found that he never quite struck anything at all. Like, the character was the way it was, and I accepted the fact that, look, this guy's he set this whole thing up.
Yeah.
And I accepted all that. But I never kind of felt anything. I didn't think he never really convinced me of much. From a number of.
It's interesting because for me that probably would have unravelled the whole.
No, it didn't unravel it because I think the film was still. It was still tight enough because the planning was cool and the delivery of those sequences there. I did enough.
Yeah, I'm totally on the other side of the fence. I think he carried it really well because a lot of it was just him having to when the parts where he's got the tape over her mouth and things. Some of it he's just got to talk to himself. You know, I actually thought he did pretty well for most of it.
I actually found Garrett more.
I thought he was for me, he was the one that was a little bit shaky.
I thought he was all right. But again, he doesn't get a lot to do, I guess. He doesn't all he does is kind of stand around.
He also has the easier part.
Yeah.
I'm a stoner. And
Garrett gets to stand around too and just go, oh, this is crazy. We've gone from scaring people to killing people, like that's kind of all he ever
he gets to lay
out
on the couch and make a gag about how stoned he is. Like,
yeah.
That, to me, that's the easier part.
And he was drugged out a large portion of the film.
Yeah, and the parts where he starts...
Who
becoming
is that
the hero.
Kid, by the way? I've seen him. Is he?
He's in. He was in that Paper Planes movie. And
he's an Australian actor who's been around for a while.
Yeah. But I actually thought, when he starts going on with the stuff about, I really like you too, and I'll save you and get you out. When she gets him on her side, I actually thought his acting kind of comes apart there a little bit.
Yeah, because he. Well, it's not long after that he gets shot, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because also
prior to that, I'm thinking he's
part of that. Part of my problem with that too was that he sort of we don't spend a lot of time with him.
No.
And so he doesn't want to upset Luke because Luke's his mate, but then he turns around pretty fast to help her out. It's kind of like, well, hang on.
Well, either you're scared by him too.
Yeah.
Or you're just you're a little bit fucking.
It kind of flipped. It kind of flipped a little bit too quick because we didn't spend enough time with him, but we didn't have time.
No,
the movie wasn't long enough to stretch to try and give us more and more character about him.
Which is basically, I mean, this is probably why I think that there's the main kid did a pretty good job, is because parts of it are he's got to run.
Well, it's a one-hander.
He's got to run the thing. Yeah. He's got to do a lot of scenes where he's got to carry most of it. I can see what you're saying about.
I guess my feeling was he was a little bit too smarmy. They felt like temper tantrums, not.
But see, that's what they're kind of supposed to.
I know that's what I was supposed to do.
The maniac in the movie is a fucking 14-year-old kid or 13-year-old kid or whatever. So some of the times he's coming off really sinister, and then that's where the comedy comes in. That he throws a fucking tantrum.
Maybe the tone I didn't quite buy him taking it in those ways. But the tone was a certain way. There was a bit of comedy. There was a bit of...
And you see, like, I thought, you know, the way he reacted after he did the Home Alone thing to the kid, everyone else is just like, fuck. You know, that's one of the moments where Garrett is finally like, oh, shit, this is going too far for me. Whereas Luke is playing it like the kid opening a present on Christmas.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, he's actually, you know, I found those moments to be a bit
I didn't hate the bloke. He just didn't convince for me.
Mm.
I said before, repetition.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad dislike. It happened a couple of times where he threatened to hurt them.
Mm.
Then they bartered with him and bargained and said how he was going to be in trouble and everything.
Mm.
And then he would walk away or something, and then they'd go into their attempted escape mode, and then we'd go back to a little bit of the same. It would repeat a couple of times. Thankfully, it cut short pretty fast. Like, they did it maybe once or twice. I think they did it 2 or 3 times in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then we were smashing people's heads in with paint cans. So we were past all that.
Yes.
So that wasn't the worst part of it.
I actually had for the most part, I thought the actors were quite good for young actors. But being that there's a number of Aussie actors, and you know, we've seen a few of them on things here, and we know they're Aussie actors. A couple of times it just seemed noticeable that their accents kind of slipped in and out.
Yeah.
It was probably quite difficult for the age that they are and the experience level, but it was a minor dislike.
Yeah. Nothing too bad, but yeah, you definitely probably heard
early
it a couple
on,
of times.
mostly early on. You heard them sort of slipping a little bit.
And my only other major dislike, because I didn't have a lot of minor stuff, because I think the story held together pretty well for 80 minutes.
Mm.
You start to swallow a little bit more shit. The guy signing his suicide note,
Yep.
really smart idea and really cool, but quite frankly, he would have told a 13-year-old to fuck off. And probably just waltz straight past him. But I could cop that somewhat.
Yeah.
The bit that I didn't like was how he was writing and he was looking around like a grinning idiot. The kid's standing like 2 feet away from him and suddenly disappears.
Yeah.
And has had time to hook everything up and drag him up and hang him.
That was a little bit of horror movie.
Yeah, a
classic sort of horror stuff.
Jason's behind just sort of thing.
I actually thought that was alright because he did kind of tell him to piss off a couple of times.
Early.
But then he realised this kid's holding the cards for me getting inside, possibly getting some action or something. So I'll just.
they worked it reasonably well.
Yeah.
To swallow.
But you're right. He seemed like the kind of personality that's just like piss off.
Because he was kind of a bit of a swaggering tool.
Yeah.
So my thinking is he probably just tells the kid to fuck off.
Yeah.
The other one that I didn't particularly. The paint can. Surely again, a minor quibble, but the first thought is to tip the chair back over.
Yeah.
So you're out of range of the thing.
Yeah. I guess it's just it was.
You had to obviously have that because you wanted to smash his head in.
Yeah, and it was. I don't know. It was the same. Yeah, it's exactly what you were saying before. For the most part, they do things that seem fairly smart.
Even if they'd have just done it once, he tipped the chair over.
They
scooped him back up, and they propped something behind it so he couldn't do it.
Yeah. I was actually kind of expecting him to do that, and then like in Home Alone 2, where they go 2 paint cans, and then there's a third one, third bloody banister kind of thing. So I hear what you're saying.
Again, minor quibble, but again, it was starting to come towards those things that I have to swallow this.
Yeah.
And the same thing when she finally breaks free.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got the gun in this hand. She's got an entire chair chained to this hand.
Yeah.
The paint can comes down, bashes the bloke's head in. Okay, everyone's in shock. She holds the gun up and goes like that. Nothing in it. All she needed to do was just whip across and go whack, and he's fucking out cold. I mean, he's 13 years old. Yep. Even a girl of her weight and size, even because she was slight, could still have knocked him out with one hit.
Yeah.
And so those little things just took a little bit of the gloss off it because they'd done the right things beforehand.
I've got one more, and it was. It's hard to make it a big one because I appreciated what they did with the twist on the conventions and the subverting what we know. But because of the way it's laid out, and it's, as you said, a lot of it's from his perspective, it makes the girl feel a bit like an afterthought. Like she's the final girl in the sense, but it makes her a little bit of an afterthought.
Because she plays zero role in the last probably 20 minutes.
Yeah, you really don't really know her. And
even when we find out she got him, she screwed him, it's kind of like it's a last minute twist.
Yeah, and it was a big kind of yes for me, but it was more the little pricks going down. I'm still kind of looking at her going, I don't really know her. I know that she had 2 boyfriends, and they're both.
She was pretty cliche too. They didn't really go much further into her.
Yeah, but I guess because they wanted him to be.
He was front and centre. He was the main guy.
I let it slip a little bit.
And I must admit, there is a slight giveaway that he is going to something's not right about him. When they're trying to hide from the home invader.
Yep.
And he sort of holds her. He sort of holds her and says, "I'll go down and get the gun or something."
Yeah.
And he says it in a way that there's a look on his face that says to me. I remember looking at it and thinking, is he going to do something?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of tells.
Yeah, a couple of little tells.
And they pace it pretty well. Like early on, it's okay, but then the last couple of minutes of the home invasion stuff, there's definitely a couple of tells. And
obviously done probably purposefully.
Yep.
To give you a slight sort of wink at the camera and say, well, something's about to happen. Because you kind of get a shock when he hits her over the head with the gun.
Yeah.
And she falls down the stairs.
Yep.
It's like, oh, shit, So, look, again, I think my dislikes are minor.
Yeah, same.
It did not blow my mind, but it was good. It was solid, and I would definitely watch it again.
Definitely go back to it. It's definitely it's made its way into the sort of Christmas catalogue. Probably slightly behind the Christmas Chronicles.
It's just behind
the Chronicles.
Yeah, and maybe I'm being a little bit hard on the main guy. He just it just never quite hit for me. Maybe it was just slightly off for me, personally.
I actually, you know what, like I definitely, there was parts early where I had some of those feelings, but the more it went on, the more I kind of appreciated what he was doing. But, I could watch it again and completely change that opinion down the track, so who knows.
But good solid 3 out of 5. And I'd actually like to see what these guys might do next, especially the director, because I thought he did some nice. There was some nice shots in there. A couple of times there was where she fell over on her chair and then she gets lifted back up, and it's kind of like a GoPro camera.
Yeah.
From this side, so everything's moving at the same time. I thought that was really cool. But overall, really solid. All right, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podomatic. If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Our next episode, our New Year's episode, will be the New Year's set Assault on Precinct 13 from 2005. But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.